Okay, let's see here. It is now Saturday afternoon, April the 20th, 2013.
Or 2013.
Or, as some say it, people that are too lazy to say 2013, they say 2013.
Yeah, like me.
You know, there are others. There are others. Welcome, everyone, and welcome to Progressive Discussions. I am your host for Progressive Discussions, James P. Madonna, and we are coming to you live and recorded, of course, pre-recorded, at the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey. I want to start the show, well, by first, before I forget, I want to formally pipe aboard my co-host and mentor and the founder of Newsletter Censored in 1977. Aboard our progressive liberal pirate ship. With me, trusty bosun's pipe, or bosun's whistle. Arr, ahoy matey. Ahoy matey, and I hear the complaints from the women who do not appreciate the
Shrieking sounds.
the uniqueness
Of shrieking sounds.
of a prop that you don't see too often anymore, with a historic background. Usually, a lot of the women that work at the Newsletter Censored Research Center, they are into, like many, they're into entertainment. Nothing deep. They want to laugh. They want to be entertained. They want to talk about the Kardashians, whatever, or the Kardashians, or the Selena Gomez, or whoever's in the spotlight.
That was on that.
Nothing educational.
That spin-off.
So they have to make comments in the background about me bosun's whistle.
Kardashians was a spin-off from Star Trek. The one with the
Kardashians?
The black guy. The Kardashians.
Well, the Kardashians are fat ass,
What was the name of that?
very rich fat ass,
Deep
very
something?
I don't know, Deep Space Nine.
No.
The very they're overly coddled.
Hawk.
Very.
Remember Hawk from who was that guy with the Mustang?
That was Robert Urich.
Yeah, Urich.
In Vegas.
Remember Hawk, the black guy?
Hawk was not in the series Vegas with Robert Urich.
No, the other one.
He was in the other series with Robert Urich called Spencer for Hire.
Spencer for Hire,
which
yes,
was based in Boston.
Well, anyway, he got the Deep Space, Deep Space Nine or whatever the hell the name of it was.
And that's how they became infatuated with tall black men? Because they liked Hawk?
Oh, Hawk was cool.
I know he was cool. The Kardashians, of course, are they were born with silver spoons in their mouth, and spoiled the whole bit. But the mother, the matriarch, the Mother Kardashian, I think, is the one that tried to make money off her daughters. She's the control freak of the family.
Sure.
Mother Kardashian. Okay. All right. I'll start off with this first. And then I will end it with the Chiseler's Hall of Shame. We're gonna do some food talk for the Chiseler's Hall of Shame. So I will save that for last. But first, I had a little discussion with someone who has a progressive, liberal, mostly Democrat Party oriented organization on Facebook, and we were talking, and remember the second banner that I posted about the two-party system, how things would be when the two-party system, if the two-party system did not sell us out, and I had a whole list, and this person because we are friends, so I don't want to mention names, but this person could not accept the fact that there was severe problem with the entire two-party system. This individual still feels by her response that the Democratic Party is more or less still the Democratic Party of Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Harry Truman. That the Democrats like Warren, Ms. Warren, what the hell's her first name? Elizabeth Warren?
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren. Senator Elizabeth Warren, and other people in the Democratic Party seem to be beyond criticism. They seem to be pretty damn good people. I mean, Democrats, when they campaign, they do say many things that are very appealing to the poor and to low-income people. You know, so hey, the Clintons say wonderful things anytime they're campaigning. Al Gore said many wonderful things when he was on the David Letterman show. You know, when you hear Bill and Hillary, I mean, Bill Clinton feel your pain. But then he signed the Glass-Steagall Act. So,
and welfare, ending welfare as we know it.
Yeah, and he's a Democrat. So there is an amazing amount of individuals that cannot accept the truth about the two-party system, and that many Democrats are corporatists. They cannot accept the fact.
Thank you, and that is their focus, isn't it? Being corporatists.
But they don't.
So who do they lavish their focus of attention and their moolah and etc. on? Corporations.
But I'm saying,
and the wealthy.
These political organizations on Facebook, let's say, and elsewhere, consist of members that won't accept the truth about the Democratic Party, Democrats that are in office today, and any discouraging words or criticism about the two-party system. They cannot accept the truth that many Democrats are in fact corporatists. What about the Democrats that voted for the Monsanto Protection Act and taking the public option of health care off the table? Right? Senator Dodd and Dodd and Baucus of Connecticut, they voted against any form of socialized medicine. I mean, a public option, health care reform.
Corporatists. And
right.
Who wrote the bill? Who wrote the health care bill?
Obama?
The health care industry.
The health care industry wrote.
Yeah.
Well, Obama signed the Monsanto Protection Act, and he's a feel your pain Democrat. But these people are there are not only right wing Tea Party.
None who have not sinned. None.
There's not only right wingers in this country that are most likely middle class and are living paycheck to paycheck. Not only are they deceived and lemmings and led by the nose by the Republican conservative propaganda lies, but we have Democrats that many of them don't have a pot to piss in and are living week to week, that do not want to let go of their Democratic Party and do not want to accept the fact that many Democrats have sold them out and are corporatists. Mm-hmm. They just won't accept the truth. And I'm sorry.
We will learn a little about that.
Right, correct.
Shortly.
I'm sorry, but I had to create a couple banners that explain that fact, that the problem is in the two-party system being corrupt corporatists. It's not just the Republicans anymore. Okay, if it was the party of FDR or Truman, I would understand. Yes, go with the Democratic Party 100%, but it's not that way any longer. Hey, even Republicans are not the same anymore. Eisenhower was a pretty nice, smart dude. He was pretty cool. As a Republican, Abe Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt.
In actuality, so was Nixon.
In some ways.
In some ways.
Well, don't forget, Nixon did not grow up with a silver spoon in his mouth.
Nixon wanted Nixon wanted a guaranteed income and health care.
And healthcare. Well, Nixon grew up in I guess a lower middle class or middle class home in Collier, California. He wasn't rich.
And he developed a revengeful attitude
Against.
anybody who crossed him.
He was on a power trip, right?
Whatever.
Yeah, he did not have a sense of humor. Rich Little did an impersonation of him in Washington in front of him, and he just turned to one of his friends and said, "What is that man? What is that man doing? What is that man doing?" He didn't even laugh. But anyway, now I saw an advertisement, a posting. I've seen regular postings on the internet for Barbara Buono.
Barbara Buono.
Running as a Democrat for the New Jersey governor.
Against Christie.
Chris Christie is up for re-election this November. Is it this November? This
Correct.
Coming November of 2013. And Barbara Buono is the Democratic challenger. Now, Barbara Buono made a statement, and you know, there's something about politicians in the New York metropolitan area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, maybe even New England. Let's just say northeastern Democrats. They're always putting children and education as the first priority. Gee, what about adults that don't have children? I mean, they don't count. It's always, all the money has to go for the kids. I don't have children. It's not my problem. But I guess they feel the children are our future, like that song, you know. But Barbara Buono, who is no relation to Victor Buono, who was King Tut on the Batman series, right? No. Barbara Buono, capital B-U-O-N-O, said that education is the great equalizer. Well, yeah, it's the great equalizer if all the jobs, all the American jobs were still in the United States, and if all of the demand occupations were not highly oversaturated with applicants. Then you could say education, number one, it's the great equalizer. But if there are too many applicants in every industry, you know, and you have to compete against a whole truckload or busload of people every time you apply for a job, and if the industries are saturated with applicants and most of the jobs are outsourced, like the office jobs are outsourced into to the Philippines, who are only getting $1 per hour, and manufacturing, you know, like in China with Foxconn, they get 32 cents an hour. Manufacturing jobs. So if all the jobs are outsourced that were originally in the United States, so how do you make education the number one priority and the great equalizer? I mean, there's nothing wrong with becoming smarter and developing talents. All talents are good. All education is good, not for an astronomically high price tuition, of course, where the schools are ripping
and fraudulent student loans.
Fraudulent student loans, and you know, of course, all of the accredited colleges are ripping American students off because, come on, give me
and
a
the
break.
banks.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Used to be free.
a good education, even college, like good, decent health care, should be rights in a democracy, not privileges. If you're a child in the ghetto and you're a genius, why should you be deprived of a college education with a genius IQ just because you're poor and you can't afford the tuition? Why should you be deprived of that?
Because that's how it's been throughout history.
You have to pay out
The elites, you know what I mean?
They want the elites to be educated, and the masses have to be dumbed down.
Well, let's just look at the Arab countries. Who do they dumb down? Why, they're women. God forbid women should be educated.
Exactly.
You see.
So what do you think about that Barbara Buono? I mean, yeah, education under ideal situations, education is important, and it is the great equalizer. I guess when she says equalizer, she means the poor, the po folk versus the elitists. Like, in other words, you don't have any money, but at least you have education.
You don't have any money, you don't have any chance in the world.
But you don't. But if you don't have any money, you can't.
No equality.
If you don't have any money, you can't go to a good school. Yeah. So how do you get educated? How can education be the great equalizer, Democrat Barbara Buono, if a person cannot afford to go to school to get a marketable skill or to get a college degree?
And we have to close the libraries where people can go and educate themselves for free.
Right.
In the old days, of course, but hey, we have to privatize everything.
So this is all just typical two-party system, political campaigning mumbo-jumbo. It sounds nice. Education is the great equalizer. Education number one. Our kids number one. I'm sorry, I'm doing a little Iron Sheik. Our kids number one. Great. Come on. There's too much competition for every marketable skill and demand occupation. There are way too many applicants for every job, and a lot of the jobs are not here.
And
office jobs were like most jobs for people with a brain in the United States were usually office jobs. But if the office jobs are in the Philippines, where they get $1 an hour from the labor there. Oh, by the way, I was on the phone with tech support for Samsung, and I detected Philippine accents, and they were absolutely clueless.
They all are.
And you know who gave me all the answers? The salespeople in Best Buy in Paramus, New Jersey, had all the answers.
Salespeople are geek people.
Oh, by the way, yes, they are. By the way, yeah, you know, a lot of them went to school for computer technician. They couldn't find a job as a computer tech, so they ended up with a retail job selling computers, camcorders, whatever. But the problem I had was I was supposed to put the check mark and select the SD card and not have the check mark by the internal built-in storage. I was supposed to, in the menu, select the SD card.
In the menu.
You have to put the check mark by the SD card. We'll see if that's correct. I already did that. But anyway, this is the deal. Yeah, education's the great equalizer. But where's the jobs? Where's the money to go to school? They only give you $4,000 in workforce to go back to school. The government, you know, through unemployment, they have workforce program. They only give you $4 grand.
Yeah, but the other problem is that we have made it through our tax policies, etc., and the corporatists in Washington, etc., have made it so that companies, it is easy for them and profitable for them to send the jobs over there. We have done that to ourselves. Comprende? For campaign contributions.
The politicians, when you say we, it's not we the people. Well, we the people keep on voting in the two-party system. The two-party system candidates allowed corporations to outsource all the jobs.
Well, for 30-some years, it has been a policy of the United States government to redistribute upward all the money and subsidies and etc. to the wealthy, to those who already have. It is a sin, my friend, to give to the rich. A sin!
It is. It's in the Bible. They want to siphon up the wealth. There's no trickle-down economics. That was a lie. Now, for Chiseler's Hall of Shame, which is connected to my two large Facebook groups, Everything is Food and Hard-Hitting Truth. Hard-Hitting Truth, you know, deals with Chiseler's Hall of Shame as it applies to non-food issues. In this case, it's food. So let me start with this. I'm sure you've seen advertisements about this product. Excuse me. Greek yogurt. All right. Well, they know what it is. I don't know if they can see it, but you know, this is one brand, which came from the A&P supermarket, America's Choice. You know, I guess it's still called the Great
Atlantic and Pacific.
The Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. Okay. But all the top yogurt companies are making it, and they're advertising it to be this special gourmet type of yogurt. You know, it's supposed to be richer and much thicker and better than regular yogurt. Ah, sounds good. Hey, even my doctor believes it's superior to regular yogurt. And I tried to tell her.
Is it pasteurized?
Well, yeah.
Because if it's pasteurized, there ain't no probiotics in there.
Well, the point I'm making, the point I'm leading up to is
content.
Yes, it does have mixed probiotics like the organic Stonyfield yogurt. Okay, it does have the probiotics. It does have the fresh fruit for flavoring and whatever. But you know what makes this? At first, I thought it tastes just like sour cream. So I think what they did originally, I thought, well, what they probably did was they probably took sour cream, added fruit to it, little sugar, and market it as Greek yogurt and jack up the price. Which it might be true because it tastes like sour cream. It's very thick like sour cream. But I read the ingredients, and it seems to have a great deal of locust bean gum in it. And that's probably why it's so thick like sour cream. It has a large percentage of locust bean gum, this Greek yogurt. So that's what makes it rich. So they can bamboozle the consumer to think, oh, this yogurt is so thick and so rich, like sour cream. Mm-hmm. And wow, this is special yogurt. This is a special gourmet yogurt. And they pay the high prices for this little container, okay, which is, let me see.
Looks to be like 5 ounces.
Little container, 140 calories per serving, 6-ounce container.
6 ounce, wow.
It says Greek traditional, non-fat yogurt, non-fat.
Well, traditional would not be non-fat.
Now, if this is non-fat, which it says 0% milk fat, then the yogurt will be more liquidy, and normal fresh homemade yogurt would be more liquidy and not thick. So they have to do something.
That's why they put the guar gum in, the gum in it.
Now you have locust bean gum. All right, first ingredient.
First ingredient?
No. Oh, that would really make me scream. Let me finish. You know, people don't let me finish. Cultured pasteurized skim milk, sugar, strawberries, banana puree, natural flavoring, pectin, which tends to stiffen things up, right? Pectin?
Well, yeah, it's a soluble fiber.
Okay, there's pectin in it too. Locust bean gum, sodium citrate, malic acid, calcium chloride, citric acid. What the fuck is this? Excuse my language. Black carrot juice concentrate for color? First of all, I haven't seen a black carrot. I've seen a purple carrot. Maybe that's it. Contains... Why would you put black carrot juice...
For coloring? It's white.
Coloring in a white yogurt. Contains 5 live... Yeah, right, after it's pasteurized. Live active cultures, including S. thermophilus, L. bulgaricus, L. acidophilus bifidus, and L. casei. Contains milk distributed by whatever, On Point Incorporated, Montvale, New Jersey. So the main thing is it's loaded with pectin and locust bean gum. That's why it is thick, and you think it's thick, rich gourmet yogurt. Yeah. Shame on you, the food companies in America marketing this Greek yogurt, which is supposedly a traditional yogurt. Well, let me tell you something.
Where it's going to go?
Let me tell you something.
There it goes, folks.
Goodbye. I'm filing it under G for garbage.
There you go.
Let me tell you something. When I go to the Middle Eastern store, they have the real McCoy Middle Eastern style yogurts. What they have is solid kefir, a richer kefir, not the drink. And this yogurt is heavy duty and just as thick as this American so-called Greek yogurt, but it doesn't have all the filler in it that the American yogurt has. So shame on you food companies that are marketing this Greek yogurt. Now, another quick, before we begin sinking our teeth into the readings for this week's progressive discussion, last but not least, we have this buffet that I go to. It's a new buffet, relatively new. It's the food is pretty good, and I give it a high rating. I don't give it a 10, but I give it a decent rating, and it's very comprehensively. You know, the variety is very wide. It's called the Flaming Grill. The Flaming Grill and Supreme Buffet. Supreme. Companies like to use the word super.
Yes, supreme,
like
premier, all these words that mean top of the line.
Yeah, like Pathmark Super Center. It has to be a supermarket, a super center supermarket. Super premium, whatever. Supreme. Number one, Ichiban, as they say in Japan. Number one. So it sounds good. Well, anyway, here's the advertisement with the coupons. Now, I'm not attacking the food. I am attacking capitalism in retail as it applies to advertisement, which there might be a connection with deregulation of companies. Here it says, the first coupon, all right, is $1 off the lunch buffet. And the other coupon is $1.50 off the dinner buffet. But in fine print, it says the coupon is only valid if you purchase a drink. Now, a drink in a restaurant or a buffet that does not have a liquor license pertains to either a soda or iced tea. Free refills are usually given nowadays. A soft drink, that's what they're talking about. But the point is, it's a coupon for a discount off the buffet. That's how it's advertised. But the drink normally only costs about $1, give or take, anyway. So if you give them the coupon and you buy the drink with, let's say, the lunch buffet for adults is $7.39. Okay. Now, it's Monday through Friday. You buy a drink, and it usually it'll come up to $8.39, and then you give them the coupon, and they take the discount off. So what they're doing is they're giving you a free drink. If you use the coupon, you're getting a free drink, but you're not getting any discount off the buffet itself. So you're cutting out the coupon, you're handing it over, thinking you're getting $1 off for the food, for the buffet, but you're not, because if you're forced to buy a drink, the coupon is only going to cover the drink, the beverage, and not apply to the buffet meal. So it's deceptive. It's deception in the restaurant business.
No.
But I like the food, I like the price, but come on, you're going to give coupons. Give a true discount off the meal. Don't trick people into saying, well, if you go to the buffet, you got to buy a drink to use the coupon. Then with the coupon you get the drink for free, but you get no discount off the food. So it's deception. So shame on you. And Supreme Buffet which has the address 53 Route 17 South, East Rutherford, New Jersey, 07073. And their phone number is 201-438-1115, and they are on the internet under Flaming Grill buffet.com, I believe. So anyway, that is the deal. Let me just put this back. That's it. That's all I have to say. Now, I know you have something in particular that you want to read as the first reading for this week's Progressive Discussions. I know you have something.
Yes, I do. Something that should clear up some things for certain people who believe that if they just give correction and truth to people, people will accept it and they will not do the bad things that they normally will do.
You mean providing facts, perhaps?
Providing facts. That's what I just said. Shouldn't that change people if they find out that they're wrong?
Even if they're just as good as the finest lawyer in a courtroom, razzle-dazzling them with evidence left and right, and
but those things don't happen. The finest lawyers in courtrooms are those who are hooked up to corporations and do their bidding, and the judges who also do their bidding.
So they're like
There's no justice in courtrooms. How can you have justice if you have to pay a court to hear your case? There's no justice there.
No.
Well, that's what we have in America.
Is that what they used to call in the Wild Wild West a kangaroo court?
Kangaroo court, and also courts that you can't get in. You can't get your case heard because you don't have the money.
Did you know that my friend in from Jakarta, Indonesia, said that that some judges, even if you want to get a divorce, if you go into divorce court, some judges want you to give them a little something under the table to speed up your process.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, a little propina, as they say in Spanish, a little palm greasing.
Palm greasing.
Tip.
That's it.
Gratuity. Payoff.
It's called a bribe.
Yeah, like cops from third world countries. If you bribe them, they'll do like Clink. No, Sergeant Schultz on Hogan's Heroes.
I see nothing.
I hear nothing. Yeah.
And I say nothing. Well, that's how it's done in a lot of countries around the world. We kind of like cover it over, though, you know?
Yeah.
We're not so blatant as in other countries where you got to bribe them to do anything.
Yeah. All right, let's do this before your lunch.
How do people form political beliefs? When will they change their minds? When will actual facts matter?
I like this article already.
A recent study conducted by political scientist Brendan Nyhan of Dartmouth College and two other authors offers some clues. One group of participants was provided with a 2009 news article in which Sarah Palin claimed that Barack Obama administration's Affordable Care Act created death panels, and that these panels included bureaucrats authorized to decide whether seniors were worthy of health care.
Oh, does that sound familiar?
A separate group was given the same news story, but with an appended correction saying that nonpartisan healthcare experts have concluded that Palin is wrong.
That doesn't surprise me.
The study's big question was, would the correction have any effect? Would people who saw the correction be less likely to believe that the Affordable Care Act calls for death panels? Not surprisingly, the correction was more likely to convince people who viewed Palin unfavorably than those who had a high opinion of her. Notably, the correction also tended to sway the participants who liked Palin, but who didn't have a lot of political knowledge, as measured by their answers to general questions such as how many terms a president may serve. Here is the most interesting finding of the study. Those who viewed Palin favorably and who also had a lot of political knowledge were not persuaded by the correction. On the contrary, it made them more likely to believe Palin was right. Can we all say Fox News?
Can we all say stupid, numbskull, asinine, political moron, American mainstream?
This finding presents...
From the red Bible Belt states?
This finding presents an intriguing puzzle. While the correction tended to convince Palin supporters who lacked political knowledge that she was wrong about death panels, it generally failed to persuade Palin supporters who had such knowledge. For those supporters, the correction actually backfired. How come?
Interesting.
There are two explanations, and they tell us a lot about current political controversies and about why the United States and other nations remain so badly polarized. The first is that if you know a lot about politics, you are more likely to be emotionally invested in what you believe. Efforts to undermine or dislodge those beliefs might well upset you and therefore backfire.
Well, they will upset me. In other words, it will be like arguing with the statue of David, Michelangelo's David, like having an argument with a statue.
Well, the point is, as I was telling you before the show, you will not convince them, no matter what you do, and no matter how many facts you present.
So you might as well call them numbskulls and idiots, which is what they are.
Well, that will just antagonize them further, and we'll be more polarized.
Why must
than we are now.
Why must we always compromise and get along? Why can't we accept the fact that, hey, there's a reason why there were so many battles and wars throughout the history of mankind. Sometimes you got to cut out the tumor manually, sir.
Well, the wars only do one thing. They change the ruling elites for a time until the next ruling elites get enough power or whatever for them to have their war.
So we have a problem here. The problem here is human nature.
Correct.
Sinful.
And the problem, if you...
Sinful human nature.
And the problem, according to the Bible, is that man knows not the way to peace because he decided in the Garden of Eden to go his own way and learn his own mistakes or whatever and make his own governments. So he did away with the laws of God. Okay?
Yeah, well, you have, for those that are believers of the Christian Bible, if Adam and Eve were smart, all of us today would still be living in paradise, not having to struggle for anything or want for anything.
Correct. However, you know, we probably wouldn't be living there. We would go on to be resurrected and become like God.
Yeah.
And be sent off to some planet in the universe to begin the broodery, the hatchery, to make more gods.
Bagak?
Yeah.
That's the sound chickens make, bagak. Well, it's just like, you know, in other words, the flaws of human nature were right from the get-go, right from the beginning.
Human nature is actually the devil's nature.
Of the flesh, the world. Hey, I mean, Jesus could have very easily smited the, you know, the Pharisees and the Romans that were there during his trial and crucifixion. He could have performed miracles in front of Pontius Pilate, like I was saying before, Or he could have simply escaped. He could have done all those things, but there was a reason why he went along with it. The divine plan. All right.
The second explanation is that if you have a lot of political knowledge, you are more likely to think you know what is really true. And it will be pretty hard for people to convince you otherwise. The general lesson is both straightforward and disturbing. People who know a lot and who trust a particular messenger might well be impervious to factual corrections, even if what they believe turns out to be false.
This first reading, is right on the money when it comes to right-wing Tea Publicans, Tea Party morons from all the red states. This is a perfect reading for them, exposing them and exposing, really getting into the psychology of what makes them tick and what makes them choose political policies that are contrary to their best interest, because many of them are not upper income. They're not wealthy at all. They're not in a high tax bracket. Well, nobody on the top is really in a high tax bracket, are they?
No,
because they don't pay any taxes. But there are idiots that tell me that the rich have the tax burden in the United States. They in fact pay like over 40% of the taxes. Some idiotic numbers that are not true.
The tax rate is 35%. Now I believe for the top it's 39.6. But they don't actually pay that. Just the same as Mr. Warren Buffett and the other rich people who gain their money from money, and they pay capital gains taxes, which according to Mr. Buffett, his secretary paid a larger rate than he did. And Mr. Romney paid 13 point something rate, whereas the normal poor slob was paying 35% rate.
Yeah.
So there's the point.
There's the point.
Okay? It is important to distinguish between two kinds of political validators, the expected and the surprising. For informed listeners, certain messengers will be hopelessly ineffective and maybe even counterproductive. Not because of what they say, but because of who they are. When Democrat Nancy Pelosi, the House Minority Leader, argues that climate change is a serious problem, or when Republican John Boehner, the House Speaker, contends that increases in the minimum wage will reduce employment, their messages are expected, and to that extent uninformative. Skeptics are more likely to yawn than to shift to their own views. But some political validators are surprising. If Boehner suddenly announced that climate change is an urgent problem that needed to be addressed, or if former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton proclaimed that increases in the minimum wage are a terrible idea because they would reduce employment, skeptics might well stop and notice, even if they are well informed. Consider Republican Senator Rob Portman's recent expression of support for same-sex marriage. That statement was newsworthy and may have moved people precisely because he was a Republican. It is interesting to wonder whether the message was strengthened or weakened by the knowledge that Portman's son is gay. There is a clear implication here for those who provide information. Balanced presentations may divide people even more sharply than before. And factual corrections may backfire. When people begin with clear convictions, efforts to correct their errors may have the perverse effect of entrenching them. At least, if the messengers aren't seen as credible. The most important lesson may be for those who receive political information. Sure, it's important to consider the source, but the content matters.
Absolutely.
Our favorite messengers are sometimes wrong, and our least favorite messengers are sometimes right. It's sometimes worthwhile to pay a lot more attention to what is being said, and a lot less to the identity of the person who is saying it.
Hear, hear.
That's what they did to Jesus' message. The message got lost in the wish to adore the person.
Would you say psychologically that these T-publicans that just can't accept the truth have a dysfunctional personality?
Of course, but these dysfunctional people are usually in control.
Oh, like when
they have powerful positions.
Like when
they do powerful things.
Like when the Catholic Church was during the Inquisition.
And is today.
The Pope.
What's the difference today? Except they're not they're not converting by the sword.
Yeah, well, I heard the two popes had lunch recently. The present pope and the German one that resigned. Gee, well, I wonder what popes say to each other during lunch.
Hi, Popo.
Hey, Poo-Poo. You dating anybody recently? You seeing anybody?
Any kids?
Any kids?
Any kids coming over? Put me down on the list there, you know?
The levity bells must be rung. Don't interrupt the levity bells. Oh, it is now time for our break. It is time for the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman's gastronomic delight known as lunch, followed by mega comprehensive supplementation. Is that true?
I hope so.
Is that true, Jabronio?
I hope so.
Jabroni? All right.
I hope so.
Ah, yes. You hope so. You hope so. You know, I'm starting to see all the songbirds in my yard. I saw the cardinals. They showed up. Not the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean the birds, the boys.
Is there St. Louis Cardinals yet?
Yeah, they still exist. I have the, I have of course the robins, bobbing along, rockin' robins. They're the first to show up with the big pecs, got big chests,
big orange pecs.
Yes, and then I have I saw blue jays last year for the first time. Yeah, not the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean the bird. Yeah. No pterodactyls though. Oh, by the way, the hawk nests are starting to be made. I haven't seen any fly over my house, but we have hawks. They must have found out that there was plenty of wild rabbits and squirrels by me. Squooey, wascoey, widowgway wabbits. Well, Dr. Bill, I was discussing with my physical therapist, who has been working on my my bad right shoulder joint, which was an old weightlifting injury from I would say possibly the mid-1990s. But I did not have the insurance coverage to be able to go to an orthopedic specialist or physical therapy. But now I do. So we were talking about stuff. He asked me if I like basketball, and I says, well, it is probably, well, it's an American game. It was I think it was completely invented in the United States. I think the game is great. I don't watch it. I'm not a fan of it. Basketball and hockey, I never watch the games in their entirety because it bores me. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the games. That just means I don't care for it. You know, but I think they're fantastic athletes. I mean, being able to run back and forth without stopping, you know, the tremendous physical endurance, the stamina, the cardiovascular endurance that they have to constantly go back and forth, running, and plus the talent of somebody like a Jeremy Lin who shoots the basket, doesn't just walk up to it and drop it in because he's not 7'2", you know, he's not 7 feet tall where he can just walk over and drop the ball in. He has to shoot it like Pete Maravich did back in the day. That's a real talent. You know, I mean, a person being extremely
obviously Obama didn't have that talent because he only got 2 out of 20.
Well,
the other day,
when basketball was invented, I believe the average tall basketball player was around 6'2", from what I understand, around there. And the rules of the game is, I believe, that the basket is 10 feet off the floor, 10 feet high, up. Now these guys are over 7 feet, and they just get up on their toes and they drop it in. That's not talent. That's like, it's kind of like cheating. It's kind of like Barry Bonds passing up Hank Aaron's all-time home run record. Meanwhile, he was on steroids. Among other baseball players, other superstars,
like Roger Clemens.
And the two guys that broke Roger Maris's record of 61 home runs.
Sosa.
Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. They were juicing it. Jose Canseco, etc. Jason Giambi, who used to be with the Yankees. So it's cheating. So he says, well, I would still induct. I would still keep Barry Bonds in the record book. Just have a disclaimer underneath that says he was taking sports enhancing drugs at the time he broke Hank Aaron's record. But he says I would still let the record stand and put him in the Hall of Fame, induct him in the Hall of Fame. I say no. Why should people like that be taken seriously and considered legitimate if they cheated to get there? You know, I don't think it's right. You know.
Well, we have a society that allows that.
That
we provide for that.
Well, and nowadays
we don't matter how you get there, as long as you get there.
Nowadays, cheating is, I guess, glorified, or it's not frowned upon. Huh. Selfishness is now a virtue.
Yes.
You know, so on and so forth. So as far as ethics goes and honesty and all this truth, justice in the American way, all this Superman's mumbo jumbo.
By the way,
huh?
We're going to have a reading about Superman today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not Superman, not the movie making of Superman. Something else. I'll see. So surprised. You see how we're in tune psychically? Like, I'll say something and then he'll read it, and I would have no idea what he's going to read, because it's true. I have no idea what Dr. Bill is going to read. Really, it's totally unrehearsed ad lib. Whatever readings the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman has on these shows, I have not seen them before.
Nope.
So this is 100% ad libbed, unrehearsed programming at its best, Jackie Gleason style. You never know what's going to happen. Nothing is planned. Even when we argue and scream, it's none of it's pre-planned. Unlike some of the programs on True TV, which I hear they stage some of the drama.
Do you know Mr. Mark Dice? Mark Dice, conspiracy theorist.
Oh, Mark, he's another famous.
He just criticized True TV the other day because.
Do you have the article on that?
It was on Facebook, and then the video, and then he was bitching it on the video.
Oh, really?
He said that True TV, like you said, is deliberately trying to get rid of the audience for Jesse Ventura's show.
But Jesse Ventura
is supposed to be on Mondays, correct?
But they keep on shifting him around.
Yeah, they did. The one that he had the other day was shifted to Wednesday without telling anybody.
No wonder somebody from TruTV got nasty with me on Facebook because of what I've been saying right along. And no one, and I repeat, no one from the Jesse Ventura program made a comment about me defending him, defending the show. So it must be the conspiracy theory with Jesse Ventura Facebook page must be controlled by TruTV personnel, because it in big letters it says it has TruTV on the page on the top. So like they're promoting TruTV. Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory only on TruTV.
Right.
So it must be TruTV people who made an excuse like what the hell did they say? Oh, the season for his show has been over for a while now. Yeah, but that doesn't answer my questions. Where are the reruns being played until the new season begins the following year? Why don't you advertise when the time slot is for Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory? Where is the time slot? Like the other shows, Hardcore Porn and so on and so on, and the South Beach Towing Program and all the other so-called crazy reality shows. You know when they're going to be on ahead of time.
Yeah.
They have a locked-in time slot. Well, how come Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory does not have a set time slot on TruTV?
Yeah.
They're constantly shuffling and shifting his time slot around, and they don't tell you when it will be on. And they don't play reruns anymore like they did on the weekends of the show. They don't play the reruns. They don't tell you when the time slot is for the reruns. They tell you nothing. So I have to look up this guy. What's his first name again?
Mark Dice.
Mark Dice on YouTube. I want to
He had
watch.
a video on there on Facebook yesterday
I want to watch it.
about these tunnels that are under the ground
Where?
out west.
Oh, to smuggle drugs.
For the elites.
Oh,
When the problems occur up above ground,
so they can.
they're going
in the tunnel,
underground.
and the tunnel can possibly go to their the abandoned missile silos.
The
that
tunnels run under the United States. They go to Washington, to Missouri, to Oklahoma, etc.
But only people with bucks, only the elitists can utilize these tunnels. I know the rich are buying up all the abandoned missile silos and converting them into deep underground condominiums, apartments, or whatever. Of course, their stockpiles of supplies will eventually run out, and then they have to resurface again. So they are only prolonging their life until they run out. So, interesting. Let's have a moment of silence for the well, so far it's only 4 victims. I hope more victims are not added to that list. I know one Boston police officer is fighting for his life after surgery in the hospital for the Boston Marathon bombing. The oldest brother was shot in a hail of gunfire. We don't know what the condition is for the younger brother.
It's serious, but not life-threatening.
Not that I care, but I know the government is hoping that he would survive so they can
get information,
extract more information from him to see who else is involved here. Because young college kids don't suddenly concoct a big plan like this unless they are being used
now
by a larger entity.
Their mother, their father, and their 2 aunts believe they are innocent.
Well, of course.
However, their one uncle
calls
them losers
and a disgrace.
Disgrace.
Well, you know, I'm sure all the mass murderers' moms thought that their sons, you know, they probably did not accept the fact that their sons did those heinous crimes. You know, you ever hear the old saying, an ugly face, like somebody who's extremely ugly, that it's a face only a mother can love. You know, usually the apples do not fall far from the tree. You know, but yeah, 4 victims, and 1 Boston police officer was shot in his car and killed, the poor guy. So he's one of the 4 victims. Very a lovely young Chinese girl, a Caucasian woman, and a little boy.
Yeah.
Right. A moment of silence for the victims of the Boston Marathon incident, which kind of like makes you think, does Homeland Security really work? That was invented by George W. Bush, G.W. Bush. How effective is our Homeland Security overall, between the drug smuggling across the Mexican border with the FBI, you know, and Border Patrol, with Homeland Security, with all these extremists slithering into the United States, getting in, and Homeland Security apparently is more preoccupied with harassing American-born citizens than they are about, you know, going after the big boys.
Or making it take 13 years before someone can become a citizen. What the hell?
Well, I had a bad experience, but I'm not going to mention it on the air, concerning immigration situation. But anyway, moment of silence for the victims of the Boston Marathon shooting. I mean bombing. Yeah. Okay. Let me make myself useful.
Wow.
And let me do a quick, to the point promo. It's always, things always have to be underneath a pile of something. Okay, here we go. See this guy right next to me? You see this gentleman? This is a self-portrait of my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, because the Reverend Dr. Bill is a fine watercolor artist. You can see the William J. Eisenman collection, about 95% of it, because he has to scan and add new ones, or I have to rather, or he has to, and then I add them. But you can see the William J. Eisenman collection at, all one word now, William J. Eisenman collection at Tumblr.com, and Tumblr is TUMBLR.com. If you see something you like, go to newslettercensor.com, send Dr. Bill a message, and if it's available, you can procure one of his original paintings signed by himself. If you're wondering what is the best way I can join your organization, our organization, what is the best way that you can be a part of our organization? How do you join it? Well, it's simple. It's simple. Here it is. This is how you join our organization, by getting your free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored, founded in 1977 by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. Get your annual subscription with your gift to support this work. Simply go to www.newslettercensored.com and place your order now. And there's nothing like Newsletter Censored. Absolutely nothing in the universe like Newsletter Censored. It is the hardest hitting, naturally controversial newsletter publication in existence. We are living in the end times. You need Newsletter Censored you need Newsletter Censor to learn how to defeat a conservative, and also to find out what really is in the Bible, not what right-wing zealot fundamentalist religious nuts tell you what is in the Bible,
And
but
prosperity preachers.
and prosperity preachers like your Benny Hinn's and your Joel Osteens and your Pat Robertsons, who made another idiotic statement about the Boston Marathon bombing, that we are being punished for accepting a gay marriage and what do you call it? Gay marriage and something else, probably abortion. He mentioned gay. He mentioned gay homosexuality. So we're being punished every time there's a disaster. We deserve it, according to the right-wing fundamentalist preachers, evangelists.
God punishing us.
Yeah, God's punishing us every time there's a disaster. The earthquake in Haiti, we're being punished. 9/11, Pat Robertson says we're being punished.
And the hurricanes.
All the hurricanes, we're being punished.
Yeah.
So, over and over and over, so on and so forth. What's up?
Tissue.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And he doesn't get the idea that no one is being punished right now except the elect. Those and those only who will be in the tradition of the
No, not the elect.
popular,
Not the elect.
raptured.
Not the elect. The other people besides the elect will have to suffer. Right? The elect are going
They will suffer, but I'm talking about punishment.
Well, the
The
elect.
vast majority of human beings at this particular time are not under any punishment. They are free. They have free moral agency to do what they want. That's why we were kicked out of the Garden of Eden.
Isn't that the fact? Isn't that the case with even the angels, that they have free moral agency to make their own decisions?
And that's why Mr. Lucifer decided that he wanted to be God. That he could do a better job at this God position.
Well, because of vanity.
Okay?
He became jealous and vanity, and people. Well, a lot of right-wing fundamentalists think they are going to be spared from the tribulation by being raptured up in the sky.
Yeah. And everybody is being punished. But punishment is not for us. There's a resurrection after the millennium called the Great White Throne Judgment, in which punishment will be meted out. But not now. Not now.
Well,
God has cut himself off from all but the elect, who will be ruling with him from Jerusalem in the millennium.
Jerusalem will descend upon the earth, not
during the millennium, after the millennium.
You're right, but I'm saying the evangelicals think Jerusalem is going to be up in the sky somewhere.
Yeah, with mansions up there, big, good rooms and bad rooms,
and if you convert more people, God will put you in a better neighborhood in heaven. That's what they believe.
Yeah.
If you minister, they feel they have to go out and minister. Otherwise, God's going to say, well,
they're not ministering.
What have you done for me lately? God's going to ask them, what have you done for me in your lifetime? If you don't minister.
Minister means to minister, as Jesus did.
Not to go around.
He knelt down and he washed the feet.
Yeah.
Of those who were his servants.
Not to go around bugging people.
Okay?
Yeah.
But what they're doing is, like you said, converting. They think that if they can convert people, that's what it's all about. That's what the Catholic Church thought back in the day when they were converting by the sword.
But they want to convert, the evangelicals today want to convert to their version of Christianity.
But it's not the job to convert.
And these are people who believe that a fertilized egg and an embryo that breeds like a fish is a real live
full-fledged human being.
Full-fledged human being. Now, Crystal Perkins of the progressive liberal group called Too Informed to Vote Republican, she admitted to me on her own. I didn't even have to say it. She said that what the Bible says is that when the child takes its first breath, that is when life is supposed to begin.
The Bible doesn't say that.
You told me that one Wednesday.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
There were no children involved. Adam was not a child.
What does it
He
say?
was a full-grown human being.
What does it say about taking the first?
When he got the first breath.
Who got the first breath? Adam.
Adam.
Oh, all right.
But he was no child.
Okay, so it was Adam. I'll tell her it was Adam. So life begins when an entity, a living entity, takes his first breath. But that's the
They
only.
usually whack you on the ass to do that, don't they? When they pull you out.
Yeah. Whatever happened to what happened with ancient man when a woman gave birth and they didn't whack the baby on the ass? Did the baby breathe?
I guess so. After a time, obviously we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, it's true. That's right. I hear women used to give birth like squatting down, vertically.
That seemed to be the best position. Yeah.
Well, because of gravity. You know.
The Native Americans used to do.
It only makes sense because of gravity. Anyway, I heard this ominous voice again, and it sounded like this for the general masses.
We are here to kill you. We are here to kill you. We are here to kill you.
My God, it sounds like we are here to kill you.
Wonder why they want to do
The
that.
culling of the herd. I have to check out that video at Mark Dice.
Mark Dice.
Mark Dice.
Truck driver discovers underground tunnels.
Shame on you, True TV, for not only dramatizing some of the drama to get ratings for your shows, but for screwing over Conspiracy Theory by Jesse Ventura. And you know why. You know what you're doing. Shame on you. Chiseler's Hall of Shame. The political inductee this week is True TV. Before we did Chiseler's Hall of Shame food talk. All right.
The yogurt.
Well, the deception in advertising with the restaurant business, with the buffet, and also the Greek yogurt. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's get back to our readings. Let's sink our teeth, our fangs, into these readings.
Superman's 75th anniversary is giving his creator's blue-collar hometown a renewed chance to claim the superhero as its own.
Does kryptonite really exist? I wonder.
Fans hope today's anniversary will raise the profile of co-creators Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster,
Yeah.
two sons of Jewish immigrants who struggled during the Great Depression and hustled to make something of themselves,
With the whole
laboring on their creation for years before selling Superman to a publisher. The Man of Steel's first appearance in Action Comics #1 was April 18th, 1938.
Wait a minute. Is this when the series with George Reeves began?
No,
The TV series?
50s was that. The radio was 40s.
George Reeves. Oh, George Reeves'
50s.
series was in the 50s? Oh, there was a radio show.
Yeah, the guy on Sunday night on WBAI.
Yeah, but
There's, I forget the title of the show right now, but it's old-time radio.
how do you
Max Schmid.
how do you get the audience to imagine a superhero on radio?
It's easier than you think. What, are you kidding me?
Gotta be kidding me,
Radio
man.
stirs the imagination.
Well, you have to be.
Television does not.
Well, you have to be very creative on the radio, with proper sound effects to stir this imagination.
But it's very simple compared to television.
Nah, George Reeves did a pretty good series.
Anyway,
Continue.
Superman went on to appear in nearly 1,000 Action Comics.
I mean, they had Flash Gordon before that with Buster Crabbe, didn't they? I mean, they couldn't do a Superman series back then?
And has evolved with the times, including a 1940s radio serial, a 1950s television series, and as a reliable staple for Hollywood. Okay? That's it? No discussion of Superman?
Well, I did mention kryptonite. If it was,
I believe kryptonite is an actual.
it's an actual mineral.
I believe it's on the element table.
What about dilithium crystals? Do they exist?
No, they don't exist.
Okay. I don't know what to say about Superman. It's a superhero. It's fictitious. I mean, I used to.
But it's 75 years old.
As a kid, I used to imagine taking off from the ground and flying.
Oh boy.
You know, flying is.
It's lucky you didn't go up to the Palisades and want to jump off.
Jump
like a
off. No, I didn't. No. I had a lot more sense than that. You know, but you know, fantasy is fun for kids. You know, they have imaginary friends and they believe in magic, and that's probably why Disney made all that money with all those ridiculous movies. You know, and what did Jiminy Cricket sing? If you wish upon a star, it makes no difference who you are. Anyway, Superman, I was a fan. Yeah, I watched the series with George Reeves as a child. Dr. Bill said it was in the low-budget Hollywood B horror movies. The low-budget horror movies, I watched them. I've seen them all, you know. I mean, I was always a huge fan of science fiction and old-time horror.
Ooh.
With monsters and superheroes also, you know. I used to watch the Spider-Man cartoon, the old Spider-Man cartoon. Of course, the Batman series, which was very entertaining, to say the least. All right, continue.
Former South Carolina governor.
Oh,
Mark
I'm sorry.
Sanford.
Happy birthday, Superman.
There you go.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Salute him with my lucky blackthorn shillelagh from Ireland. Go ahead.
Governor Mark Sanford's comeback try encountered severe turbulence on Wednesday when the National Republican Congressional Committee withdrew its financial support less than 3 weeks before a special election for his former House seat. The action came one day after it came to light that Sanford's ex-wife had accused him of repeatedly trespassing at her house in violation of their 2010 divorce decree. At this time, the NRCC will not be engaged in this special election. Much of the Republican establishment has been holding Sanford at a distance, though he did receive the endorsement of House Speaker John Boehner. Republicans are worried that more damaging revelations about Sanford's personal life could emerge before the election. Sanford is best known for disappearing while he was governor in 2009.
This is no relation to Sanford and Son with Red Fox.
And claiming he was hiking the Appalachian Trail when he was actually visiting his mistress, now his fiancée, in Argentina.
Oh, that one, okay.
In response to his ex-wife's accusation, Sanford said that he had gone to her house while she was away to watch the Super Bowl with one of their 4 sons, a teenager who was at home alone. Sanford's Democratic opponent is Elizabeth Lulu Colbert Bush, a civic activist and sister of the TV comedian Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Some recent polls have shown Sanford and Bush essentially tied. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that anyone with analytic objectivity would be able to see that Governor Christie is more bluster than real courage and conviction. Fortunately, he has addressed and continues to address the obvious needs of the victims of Sandy. But on many other major issues of the day, he is more like a weather vane.
Weather vane? He's more like a weather blimp.
That would be blown all around, right?
Yeah.
The weather vane, at least,
spins
is
around.
blown in different directions. Now he is announcing his support of teachers as he demonizes union leaders.
Of course he's going to demonize union leaders. He's a Republican. I don't know why he attacks teachers so much. Maybe he just doesn't want to pay them.
That's correct, because the government pays them. That's why.
Yeah. They don't
should be privatized.
Yeah, Republicans.
Vouchers, baby.
Yeah, Republicans want to privatize absolutely everything, which means the quality of services and
goes down and the price goes up.
Goes down and the price goes up.
That's correct.
And you get price gouged.
That's correct.
Legal price gouging.
Correct.
That's what you get under Republicans.
Does he think teachers will then turn away from those leaders? It's very difficult not to call him out on his revolving door positions as being completely political as he prepares for the next election. Not to mention whatever he's thinking about doing in 2016. Citizens of New Jersey should be able to recognize an opportunist whose bluster seems to be a cover-up for failing to clearly define his positions on controversial issues.
I think Chris Christie's obnoxious personality is just simply like a smokescreen, like a magician's sleight of hand to make you so infatuated with his entertaining personality that you do not focus on his record
or
his performance.
People who are blusterous may not be very secure,
like Rush Limbaugh,
in their positions and where they are in life and etc.
Isn't Rush Limbaugh that way?
I would imagine so. So they bluster.
And they say, well,
and they scare off the weak from attacking them or undermining them.
They bluff like some animals do when they puff themselves up, and they're hard. They're really
like a porcupine.
No, a porcupine. He'll puff himself up, but you try to attack a porcupine, and he doesn't have to attack you.
No,
you'll get stuck bad, and those quills don't come out. They're hooked.
What about that frog that blows himself up?
I'm talking about more in the line of some reptiles and amphibians that puff themselves up so that
the magic dragon.
No, I hated that freaking song.
Oh, that's a beautiful song.
No, it's not. Anyway, they puff themselves up to make themselves look much bigger than they are to their predators.
They're blustering.
They do what you just said.
Yes, exactly.
What Christie and maybe Rush Limbaugh, to intimidate opponents so they won't debate them or take them on.
Mm-hmm.
But don't you have to be factual when you bluster?
Not today.
Then how can you possibly win a debate if you don't have real facts on your side?
Because you can't win debates like that. They are taught in Harvard Business School to debate issues from both sides. If you can debate an issue from both sides, you're going nowhere. Because you're not looking for the truth. You're not ever going to find the truth. If you can debate from both sides, how can you find the truth?
Well, Democrats and Republicans in the two-party system seem to debate from both sides, but the real truth that they're all a bunch of corporatists never comes out in the debate.
Correct.
Oh gosh.
One of the Mousers once.
Let me let Steve, one of the Mousers. Well, I'm gonna let you out, jabroni. Go. What are you, mental? You better make up your friggin' mind. The camera's on. Is rolling. Thank you.
He's rolling too now.
Yeah, he's a black and white Sylvester or Felix.
Sylvester the cat.
Sylvester, the one that spits when he talks, or Felix the cat. He's attractive. He's black and white, but pain in the ass. Right? He wants to go out, and I try to open the door, and he turns around and goes back in. Then he goes back out. It's like that old disco song. Shove it in, shove it out. Shove it in, roundabout, disco lady. Or was that move it in, move it? Yeah, move it in, move it out, shove it in, roundabout, disco lady.
I have no idea.
You don't remember that song?
No, I don't.
Of course, they sing it in a more sensual way, but
Oh,
shove it in, shove it out, move it in, roundabout, disco lady, do. All right, go ahead.
3 cheers for the letter writer who bemoaned the choice of Housewives Brawl as headline news.
Shove it in.
She hit the nail on the head. This junk does not deserve to be on the front page. It used to be fodder for gossip rags like the National Enquirer. Other things I don't want to see on the front page are stories about overpaid athletes like Alex Rodriguez.
Oh, that doesn't work much, mind you.
Or his team.
And bangs all the Hollywood chickie poos.
This kind of story belongs in the sports section. Newspapers are not the only ones using this skewed news format. Television news is worse. Notice the drama surrounding weather reports involving a potential snowstorm, nor'easter, or the like.
That doesn't become the reality when the storm arrives.
They drag out old videos and salt trucks being loaded, or people buying snow shovels, or maybe list the high or low temperatures of up to 6 or more towns in the metro area. Is this really necessary? Can anyone tell the difference between 42 degrees and 45 degrees in 2 towns in the same area? Just the meat and potatoes, please. Okay?
I heard CNN has been dodging the real hard-hitting truth lately. CNN was accused of, not wanting to take many solid stands on important issues. Like afraid of having people not like them or sue them. I was reading some kind of article about CNN. Pussies.
Pussy galore.
Pussy galore. Not like
excuse me.
MSNBC. They're much more vocal than CNN nowadays.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
According to this article.
But they're all corporatists in the end.
Because they all have sponsors.
Correct.
So Motormouth Rachel Maddow and Ed Schultz still cannot say 100% of what they really know and feel. They have to hold back a little. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
See, you see, you diehard Democrats out there that protect the Democratic Party no matter what. I mean, I'm a conservative. I mean, I'm a liberal. I'm a progressive liberal. So is Dr. Bill. But when a Democrat is a corporatist and sells out, we're going to mention it. We're going to talk about it and reveal it. But these people, a Democrat cannot do any wrong.
I can only express disbelief at Governor Christie's total lack of understanding of what cause and effect and relationships really mean. Can he really believe that he can begin courting the urban minority Democratic vote after totally ignoring, disrespecting, and cutting services to us for the first 3 years and 4 months of his term?
Boy, he did some hatchet job with social programs and soup kitchens. I mean, yeah, food pantries too, but not to his pantry in his house.
Can he really believe we will find him sincere in his concern for us when he is up for re-election in November and needs our votes? And regarding the comments by Bill Patalucci, Christie's close advisor, that the governor's visit to Passaic was part of his initiative to leave no town ignored, well, guess what? The governor has ignored these cities up until now.
Yeah, now it's time for his re-election. You remember the photo opportunity of him being healed by a local Paterson, New Jersey pastor?
Yeah.
Laying his hands upon his head and trying to bless him and pray for Chris Christie?
Yeah.
Like he really cares about people in the inner city?
Yeah. Christie, like all extreme Republicans in American politics today, keeps making the same mistake by totally disregarding and disrespecting urban and minority voters. Call me stupid, but I think that on November the 5th, we are going to elect Democrat Barbara Buono for governor of New Jersey. A state senator for 12 years, Buono has a proven record of standing up for the rights of middle and working class.
She was
New Jersey.
She was a state senator for a decade. New Jersey.
She still is.
New Jersey. Oh, okay. New Jersey state senator. Okay. Yeah. So she has experience in Trenton.
Trenton.
She knows how Trenton works.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Christie. I mean, many Republicans, like for instance the big fat idiot windbag Rush Limbaugh, actually believe that the minority people and the poor should not be told when election day will occur.
There's something you mentioned before about something in the minorities, and I said about the photo opportunity when Chris Christie was being preyed upon by, blessed by a African American Patterson pastor, and I said before about something about I wanted to
minorities. He doesn't show an interest.
No, it has nothing to do with Christie. You said something before, and I didn't jump in time, and now it's gone. But I was going to make the comparison that whatever they're saying about that particular minority you were talking about or something, gee whiz, in the Constitution, the blacks weren't recognized and the women weren't recognized. So now it means nothing. You know what I mean?
You mean about all men being created equal? Or no, it's not that.
You were talking about something, I don't know. But it was obviously hypocritical because, like I say, women and blacks were not, they were minorities, but they weren't included in the Constitution.
No, they were second-class citizens.
And oh, I remember. The embryo!
The embryo that breathes like a fish, or the fertilized egg is a human being.
Correct.
To a Republican, to a conservative, but not
blacks and women's weren't.
But except a black and a woman's fertilized egg in an embryo. No, a woman's. Of course, it has to be a woman.
Women and blacks were not considered human beings or whatever. But if it left up to the Republicans, they would make an embryo a human being and protected under the Constitution. That's my point.
Just like they made a corporation a person.
Yeah. Well, actually, they didn't. There is no law on the books, no precedent that says a corporation is a person. It was a head note on a decision for the Santa Clara Railroad. I mean, Santa Clara over in California, and the railroad. There was a decision made, and the clerk at that time was a crook in the pocket of the railroad. And he wrote on top of this decision that corporations are now persons under the 14th Amendment.
Then why do, if it's not on the books, why do judges treat corporations as persons?
Because judges were and are corrupt. That's why.
And so, unfortunately, and so are politicians of the two-party system. But these people are hard-headed. They do not want to accept the fact, the truths about the two-party system.
Well,
yeah.
That's why we get nothing done.
No, and compromising won't work. Bipartisanship will never work.
That's correct.
And the Democrats keep on talking about getting along and bipartisanship. They all the time they keep on talking about this, and maybe that should be the content of my next banner to circulate throughout the internet about this obsession with bipartisanship, compromising with Democrats, how they want everybody to like them and accept them and approve of them. You know what I mean? You can't compromise with criminals and terrorists, so and therefore you can't compromise with corrupt, greedy.
Well, they've been doing it for over 30 years.
Huh?
They've been doing it for over 30 years.
Well, who's been winning for 30 years?
Corporations and the wealthy.
And the wealthy, and also the right wing, right?
Well, obviously, you know, they win here and they win there, but that's the point is they're both corrupt, they're both corporatists, and they're going to, whenever there's a subsidy involved, whenever there's a to do something for somebody, it's always done in the name of the corporation or the wealthy.
Yeah. Well,
it's not done in the name and the interest of those who need it. And this was a deliberate choice that we made some 30 years ago when Mr. Ronald Reagan got into office.
Well, this is also why Barack Obama gets some things done here and there, because the Republicans have control of the Congress thanks to all the zealot religious nuts in the red states voting them in, and also the Democrats do not have the 60 votes to override the filibuster in the Senate. Do not have the
Those rules can be changed. They were put in, they can be put out.
Well, why?
Everything can be changed about the capitalist system and etc.
Why aren't all the Democrats getting together, rallying together, and make those changes with Barack Obama? Why aren't those changes taking place?
They're not important to them.
What's important right now?
Giving corporations whatever they need.
In other
You
words,
saw the bank bailouts. Broke our country, period. Mr. Geithner every month has been giving out $40 billion in new money.
hey, in reality, no one is too big to fail or jail. But I mean, in a fair society, no one is too big to bail out, to fail or jail.
Yeah.
If you fail,
we don't have a fair society. That's my point entirely. It's all corrupt. So it doesn't matter two-party system or this, that, and the other thing. It's all corrupt.
Listen, the big companies that were bailed out by Bush, by Bushy Boy, they should have been allowed to flounder because it was their own fault that they floundered. So if you mismanage your company, that means you're incompetent.
And you die.
If your company goes belly up, you should be allowed to go belly up and not receive welfare for the rich in the form of subsidies and Wall Street bailouts, right?
Yeah.
So
that's the capitalist system.
And then people worry about, oh, this is what the Republicans tell you, to scare you. They say, well, if you let all these corporations go belly up, many tens of thousands or whatever jobs will be lost.
Yeah.
The jobs are outsourced anyway. You think these big companies have all these jobs in the United States? The jobs are outsourced. That's bullshit. Because when a big company flounders, because they're incompetent or dishonest, if they flounder, there are new emerging growth companies that will take their place, that have more competent and more honest management.
And that's how capitalism is supposed to work.
And if those companies shoot themselves in the foot, there are other emerging companies that will rise up and take their place. So none of these industries will end. So these people believe more of the conservative propaganda that we must bail out these big corporations because we have to save American jobs. Just like, you know, Republican campaign commercials. Job killers, job creators, job killers, job creators. It's all bullshit. The jobs are being outsourced. They have been outsourced.
And number one,
creators.
We have misplaced our faith in the private sector with this job thingy. God does not do that under his economics. He has the human beings, each with his own land and own vine.
Hey, remember, did you ever come across the banner where it shows Jesus, a scene where Jesus was, did he make like millions of loaves of bread appear or something to feed the poor? Thousands of loaves of bread to feed the poor. And somebody says to him, oh, you want to feed all the poor? Isn't that socialism, Jesus? It was a banner. Like,
well, gee whiz, let's see, what is it called when Judas had the purse and the money was given so that they could take care of themselves? What do you call that?
It's not conservative capitalism. That's for sure.
Exactly. Well, conservative capitalism didn't exist at that time.
No, but the mentality of it would be that nobody.
The mentality of it was in the Pharisees inside the temple, buying and selling sacrifices, so you could go make a sacrifice, the doves and the lambs or whatever you wanted to buy.
And if you were poor, instead of begging for money, they would probably enslave you.
No, you were allowed to go into your neighbor's field and take what was around the edges.
I'm talking about the conservative mentality, the Ayn Rand mentality.
That's different.
You would be cast into slavery and not allowed to even beg on the streets. But under God's economics, you will be provided for because all of the Earth's natural resources, including food, is to be equally shared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, so.
Wouldn't be locked up in some big corporation or some wealthy gated community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Where there's a big golf course next door.
Yeah.
Where they can go play.
The country club.
Yeah, country club. There is the same amount of energy today as there was when the universe began.
Really?
Energy never disappears. It can change its form, but it doesn't go away. We call this the conservation of energy. Conservation means saving something.
Mm-hmm.
For example, nuclear energy in the sun turns into many forms of energy, including light. Plants change the light energy into chemical energy or food. Animals and people eat plants and store the chemical energy in their bodies. When they need to move or grow, people and animals turn the stored chemical energy into heat energy, keeping the body warm, and motion energy. Most of this is heat energy, with a small amount of motion energy. The original energy from the sun has changed into different forms, but it is not lost. Although energy changes its form over and over, the amount of energy in the universe stays the same. Energy can be described as a property or characteristic of matter. The property of energy is connected to motion and binding. Properties such as size are related to the senses, such as touch and sight. Matter can be created from energy, and energy excuse me, can be created from matter. E equals mc squared. This idea was made by Albert Einstein.
They preserved his brain in formaldehyde, from what I understand. Einstein's brain. Yeah.
There are different ways of measuring energy. For example, a calorie is a way of measuring the energy people need to stay alive and move.
That's true. That is true.
It is really a way of measuring heat energy. Another way of measuring energy is by a watt.
Wattage, yeah, watt, yeah.
A watt measures how much energy is released per second. For example, we use watts to measure the power of light bulbs.
That's true. And if they followed Nikola Tesla, all electricity would have been free for decades.
Gee whiz, and that would be a real stab in the heart for crony capitalism. And you know...
Yeah, and greedy old J.P. Morgan, who backed Thomas Edison back then, and not Nikola Tesla.
People give off energy just by living.
What about obese people that are very flatulent? That would be methane gas energy, right?
Each person gives off about 80 watts of heat energy. That's why a room gets warm if it is filled with people.
Maybe that's how the Eskimos survive in their igloos. Maybe it's the body heat that you just mentioned.
Maybe that will melt their igloos.
No. The inside will, the inner surface probably melts and becomes ice and wet like, but the actual blocks of snow, because of the cold outside, maintain themselves.
Hopefully.
We're not talking about the effects of global warming, of course.
Many scientists believe that all the energy in the universe today was present when the universe began. All this energy was jammed into a tiny little point. Then all the energy burst out, and some of it changed into matter. The matter and energy expanded or spread out from that tiny point to form the universe. Scientists call this the Big Bang Theory.
Well, yeah, unless you're a right winger, then you don't believe in the Big Bang Theory. Or
What do right wingers believe in?
Well, the source of the Big Bang.
Okay.
Or the fact that they think that the planet Earth is only like 5,000 or 6,000 years old. Period.
Yeah. Yeah, 6,000 years old.
Do we have
I
a
don't
small,
know.
good,
Something small, let's see.
and good, and applicable?
I am appalled
He just reads any old thing he touches.
at the U.S. Supreme Court Justice anchored in Scalia for calling the Voting Rights Act a perpetuation of racial entitlement.
I like this article.
It sounded like his position as a justice gave him the right to say that. To me, it sounds like discrimination or prejudice based on racism. I went to college in the South on an athletic scholarship in the 1950s. I watched the Ku Klux Klan and Jim Crow laws in action. It was an experience in education that has lived with me all my life. Okay?
Well, you always told me that the South has different rules for the Constitution
They look at it differently.
than the rest of the
They
country.
look at it differently, and they try to interpret it differently. That's with Mr. Scalia. his stupid interpretations. Mr. Scalia, by the way, is a Roman Catholic, as is Judge Thomas also.
Well, the Roman Catholic Church is right-wing, when you think about it, right?
Not only right-wing, but how come Mr. Scalia, with his belief in the original intent of the Constitution, doesn't understand the original intent of his church, which killed 50 million people throughout history in the Crusades and its Inquisition.
Converting by the sword.
And it's under Constantine and before that to stop the Judaization of Christianity.
Not to mention all of the pagan traditional holidays that they've adopted after Simon Magus, right?
Well, what about the
Paganism?
fact that the Roman Catholic Church tried to actually destroy the original church that Jesus built? Revelation 17. The blood of the saints are on that church's hands. They had 11, count them, 11 of the original apostles killed, martyred, mind you.
Except for John, who was exiled to Patmos,
John was safe. Yep.
a Greek island. John is the one that
Revelation.
wrote the book of Revelation, yeah, on Patmos, where he was exiled.
Right.
Which he probably had a very peaceful existence on Patmos.
We don't know that for sure.
Well, I don't know.
But the point I'm trying to make is,
Yeah.
this justice who, believes in original construction of the Constitution, he certainly grants his church, they can do anything. I'm not going to criticize it at all. The church appropriated the term Christianity. It has nothing to do with Christianity. It's a pagan church.
That is true.
It's a federated church. It's a large church. It has nothing to do with God's church. God's true church. Which Luke 32:12 says would always be small. A small flock.
Unfortunately.
Not a billion and 2 people or whatever the hell it is.
Right, and all these right-wing fundamentalist evangelical mega churches that spend millions of dollars, like the one photo of the giant steel cross that costs over $1 million, and including what the Catholic Church spends, on its basilicas and the Vatican, everything has to be gold and this and that. I mean, could you imagine how many poor, starving children and adults you can feed in impoverished countries with all that money that these so-called Christian organized religion organizations have?
Yeah, and what the hell again is it called if you're a church, say you're a church, and people send in tithes to you? In other words, you're taking from the many to benefit the few. What's that called again? It's communism!
Taking from the many.
Corporatism! It's what we do with the wealthy and corporations in this country. Socialism, communism.
Taking
from the many to give to the few.
Is corporatism. It's.
But God forbid, take from the many to give to the few poor, and they're up in arms.
Take from the few to give to the many poor, they're up in arms. The other way around, they love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what subsidies and Wall Street bailouts are.
Yeah.
Welfare
Take
for
it
the
from
rich.
the many and give to the few.
Right. Okay. Now, apparently, our adjustments with our equipment is working this week.
Well, good. Let me finish this thing.
Okay, all right, and then we'll say so long.
So the record has moved from articles by Republican syndicated columnists George Will and Charles Krautheimer to Republican welfare advisor Patterson. What's wrong with this picture? First of all, Republicans are against welfare. What else? Collective bargaining, minimum wage laws, environmental protection, Wall Street regulations, gay marriage, minority voting, birth control, safe and legal abortions, immigration reform, affordable health insurance, sex education, medical marijuana, occupational health, safety laws, background checks for gun buyers, Head Start, renewal of the Violence Against Women Act, equal pay for women, alternative energy, climate change, evolution, social programs, for the least of these.
Wow.
Patterson says, President Obama must give job creation top priority. He doesn't say that when Obama proposed repairing 70,000 bridges in the United States, the Republicans said no. He doesn't say that when Obama proposed spending $1 billion to help returning war veterans find jobs, the Republicans said no.
No, it's okay for young men and women to put their lives on the line so rich old men can get more rich, like Dick Cheney, G.W. Bush and the Bush family and others. It's okay for them to capitalize on war profiteering, but heaven forbid you should do anything for the veteran returning home to the United States. Oh, gee, what are they good for? Just to live in a tent in the woods in Florida?
Under their view of capitalism, absolutely. It is their fault. They are poor. They're lazy.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But the rich elitists are not lazy?
No. Not at all.
Lazy, no.
They're the job creators.
Mainland China.
Yeah.
Sure,
the party of powerful big business and the wealthy is certainly free to promote its agenda. Thank God the majority of Americans have rejected it.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious to me that they're complete, total liars and totally corrupt. You know, it's like no matter what you say, they don't want to be compassionate and fair and honest.
It doesn't pay.
We're up against an evil entity personified, in the form of flesh and blood human beings when it comes to the Republicans, the conservatives.
Well,
they are soldiers of Satan as far as I'm concerned.
Number one, what goes on is the fact that they are protecting their nest because most times they give corporations and businesses and wealthy what they want because there'll be a job waiting for them when they're done with their stint in the government.
You mean
the revolving door?
You mean like a form of cronyism?
Yeah, but what happens is they will now go to work for the business that they helped while they were in Congress, or etc.
Grease the palm, one hand washes the other, both hands wash the face. They have something waiting for them, very profitable when when their term in Washington is up. In other words, it's all about self. Me, 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 me.
Yeah.
It's not about the good for the American people, the good for the masses.
No.
It's selfishness.
No. That's not been in effect for a long time.
Yeah, it's complete selfishness and contempt for the people that voted them in. It's very simple. All this is not rocket science. You know?
No, but it's like we read about with the Palin thingy. You just can't correct people, and if they see that you are a liberal Democrat and they are a Republican conservative, they're not going to believe what you say.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Now, you're finished with that reading, right?
I'm finished with that reading.
Before we say goodbye...
Good night.
Good night.
Mrs. Calabash.
Mrs. Calabash.
Wherever you are.
Wherever you are. I would like to do an imitation of listening to not only Sarah Nailing Palin, but Bubblehead Barbara Bachman.
Michelle.
I'm sorry, Michelle Bachman, and the
Christine.
Well, she's added a picture.
She's added a picture. Yeah.
The Gorgon, the Medusa, who really has serpents coming out of her head. I'm talking about Anne the Cunt Coulter,
Oh boy.
the Medusa herself. This is what they sound like when they talk. They sound something like this. Very annoying voices.
Like chalk on a chalkboard.
Mm-hmm. Annoying, up and down, you know, highs and lows. That's all I hear when these conservative coven of witches speak. All right? Of course, in reality, what you just heard was a slide whistle. Well, I am very happy that the equipment is working impeccably. Knock on wood. Knock on blackthorn. That actually hurt me because blackthorn shillelaghs are very hard. But, you know, knock on wood. Thank you for joining us for this week's Progressive Discussions. The weeks fly by really fast, Dr. Bill. They certainly do. And as you can see, I have my South Park t-shirt on. South Park? All right. Until next week, thank you for joining us for Progressive Discussions. It's been very invigorating, as usual. Not too much levity. I only rang the levity bell like once, and maybe for the imitation of the conservative witches again, but that's about it. Very hard-hitting, serious show this week. All right. Good night. Or good afternoon. Say so long to these people.
So long, people.